Buongiorno, buenos días, eminence, excellencies, academicians, distinguished colleagues, and friends. Today, we meet at the confluence of reason and the moral imagination, where science and faith in the Aristotelian Thomist tradition come to illuminate a single truth: the care for our common home, in Pope Francis's eternal words, is the ethical challenge of our time. Could I have my PowerPoint, please? Could I have my PowerPoint, please? We gather without a PowerPoint to celebrate discovery and dialogue, but also to gain wisdom from a journey spanning continents. From California's wildfires to Austria's melting glaciers, to Nairobi's parched plains, and the cry of the youth in the Amazon River basin. The Jubilee is both a culmination and a new beginning, a synthesis of learning into commitment. PowerPoint, please. At the heart of our collective endeavor lies, as Professor Ramanathan noted, a conceptual framework: mitigation, adaptation, societal transformation. It is our lingua franca across science, ethics, and policy. Mitigation demands a moral accounting of our carbon debt. As Professor Ram noted, cutting emissions, phasing out fuels, safeguarding creation through a renewable transition. Adaptation calls us to prepare our community for climate shocks already upon us, shielding families, ecosystems, and futures from the most wicked impacts of unchecked climate change. Societal transformation summons our deepest capacities for empathy, reform, a shared destiny, to move from a culture of consumption to a culture of sustainability and care. I have a pithy summary. It looks very nice in the PowerPoint, so use your imagination, of the planetary work to date. I have to be resilient. I remember 150 years ago, Darwin announced to the world, it's not the strongest, it's not the smartest, the most adaptable that survive. So that's a truth flowing from the origin of the species. California, our journey after our gathering in the Casina in May 2024 took us to Sacramento. Mayors, scientists, indigenous knowledge holders, and youth forged a vision in California of integrated resilience. One California. Facing wildfires, drought, and displacement, California built a manual to share with all, a bipartisan health center rooted in community. California taught us in our summit that resilience is not resistance to change. It's the capacity to transform after catastrophe upon catastrophe. Massachusetts, Boston Summit embodied what a whole of government model is like, aligning health, housing, transportation, insurance toward resilience. Africa, the first of what will be 2 summits in Nairobi. Africa showed us how the continent is becoming a vanguard of planetary stewardship. The summit called for justice at the center of mitigation, adaptation led by the most vulnerable, and a transformation powered by youth. Africa brought forward community resilience, early warning systems, regenerative farming, innovation intertwined with, as Sister Helen noted, ancestral wisdom. It declared in its youth protocol, youth in Africa are the co-leaders, not observers, not observers, reframing a generational contract. Europe, Vienna summit painted a sobering picture, a continent warming twice as fast as the global average, facing fires, floods, displacement. Yet, Vienna also offered a vision, 12 pillars for resilience, linking public health, mental health, science at its most transparent, green finance, ecological citizenship. In Europe, we witnessed the pairing of science-based accountability with the moral impetus to protect the displaced, to protect the poor. It showed that resilience is democracy's most profound test. Brasilia. The Brazilian summit focused foregrounding, in coordination with COP30, foregrounding the climate problematique in moral and intergenerational urgency. While previous summits highlighted regional leadership in building resilience, Brazilia's proceedings frame climate change as a children's rights issue, bringing together the cry of the earth, the cry of the poor, and the cry of the young, clamoring for child and family-centered models of global climate action. The voices of indigenous youth from the Amazon resonated deeply in a chorus of nature-based solutions, indigenous knowledge, an ethic of care, and science at the center. Across the summits to date, a profound truth flows. Resilience begins from below, radiates upward, and converges globally. The Jubilee of Knowledge now must carry our work forward. Education, as Francis reminded us, is our most renewable resource, the seedbed of transformation. In Aristotelian ethics, eudaimonia is the condition of human flourishing, of living well. In Pope Leo's apostolic letter, drawing new maps of hope, he reminds us, quote, forgetting our common humanity has given rise to divisions and violence. I continue to quote from the Holy Father, and when the earth suffers, the poor suffer the most. Education cannot be silent, the Holy Father reminds us. It must combine social justice and environmental justice, promote sobriety and sustainable lifestyle, and form consciences capable of choosing not merely what is convenient, but what is just. Every small gesture, Pope Leo reminds us, avoiding waste, choosing responsibly, defending the common good, constitutes cultural and moral literacy. End of quote. We must educate ecological citizenship, blending logic, moral reasoning, civic engagement, and what Professor Carola will call, quoting from E.O. Wilson, biophilia. A profound human instinct. Youth are clamoring to be co-authors of this renewal. Their classrooms must serve as incubators of care for people, for the planet. Universities have an obligation to advance science, the pursuit of truth, while modeling planetary solidarity, embedding the idea of climate justice in the curriculum, in the research enterprise, and in partnerships with indigenous and local communities. The Jubilee marks a pivot from scattered innovations to a coherent planetary covenant. The Pontifical Academies summits have demonstrated that, again, in the Aristotelian tradition, braiding of faith and science, we can and must anchor a global architecture of resilience, one that protects all living systems, values equity, and builds enduring peace. The road ahead will be steep, but as the summits attest, courage is contagious. The Jubilee asks us for a conversion. We are called to a cultura de la cura, for the earth, for each other, for the yet unborn. Francis reminded us, quote, the future has a name, and its name is Esperanza, the title of his last book, Hope. Let us leave this hall as gardeners of that hope, cultivating resilience as a daily practice of knowledge, in service, and in love. As Francis told us in our very last conversation, adelante, siempre adelante. Thank you.